everything hot in sports, news, drama, and whatever is blowing up the timeline. Let's get into it. What is going on, y'all? It's DJ Treacy Trees, and I am here posted up running my mouth about sports. And today I've got on another friend that's been here before, Sabreena Merchant from The Athletic. Sabreena, hey girl, let's talk W.
Let's talk W.
Yes. We were just in the press room the day that the Sparks got smacked by 30. And we were talking about, just how are we going to reframe the show based off of that, because so much of who I am is about the Sparks. But today we're going to talk about all things W. But before we start, tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, so I write for The Athletic. Anything I write, you can find at theathletic.com. And we have a women's basketball podcast called No Off Season that comes out every Tuesday and Friday.
All right, y'all. You heard it. Go there too. Stay here on this podcast, but go
We're on YouTube. You can watch. It's very fun.
Watch. So you don't even have to leave this platform. You can just watch their stuff for the official stuff, because that's what I do. To be honest, Sabreena is one of my trusted sources who covers women's basketball, because she's just on it. College, a professional, just all over. So Sabreena, your trusted source here, and I've got some talking to do about the W. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Yeah.
So, first of all, let's talk about the scheduling. How weird is the schedule this year in comparison to other years? And is that affecting the WNBA so far from what you've seen?
So to me, the WNBA schedule is pretty much exactly the same as it's always been. There's always these weird things where, a bunch of games start at the same time. We have some days with a lot of games, some days with very few games. And the only thing that's really different is that this is the first season that they've had 44 games as opposed to 40 the last couple of years. And even that was a big increase. I'd say there was a big stretch in the 2010s where it was mostly like 32 to 36 games. So 44 is a big jump.
Yeah.
But, I think people have a lot of comments about like, hey, there's an NBA Finals game on and there are 3 WNBA games on at the same time.
Yeah.
And then the next day there's no NBA Finals and there's also no WNBA games. So why is that happening?
Kathy,
I can assure you these things have been happening for years. It's just nice that people are trying to watch more WNBA games and they're noticing, hey, I can't watch all these games.
Okay, cool. So I'll chill out a little bit more, because I'm like, this can't continue to be our existence. But I think you're right with the WNBA app also, like being an addition in the last few years, that's been a huge thing. So it's like now we at least have a central place to watch, because before, a lot of the games weren't televised. You didn't know where you could find everything. So I think now we're uncovering it, but it is very frustrating if you enjoy basketball in general and you can't watch men's and women's,
Yeah. And the NBA Finals, like their schedule is also not exactly released by the time the WNBA makes their schedule. So, technically they could see like, hey, 3 WNBA games this night. Maybe we move our NBA Finals game.
Yeah, it has to be like a calendar.
Yeah.
Is there
you are the same business. Let's work together, guys.
Let's work together.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So far, weird schedule. We're already in Commissioner's Cup. I'm voting for All-Stars, everything. So it's technically a mid-season heat check almost is what I call this, because I just want to know, based on what you've seen, like who's your mid-season surprise team so far?
Okay, so I'm not going to disagree with the framing, but let's call it quarter season. Okay,
so
we're like 25% through. All right,
yeah. You're right. But it's just All-Star and all these cups and everything.
I got you. Yeah. All right. My current surprise team, not in a good way, Chicago Sky.
What do you think is happening with the Chicago Sky? Let's talk about it.
So I had hopes. Like I didn't. Let's back it up for a second. I didn't like the Chicago Sky offseason. I thought they gave up way too much future value for trying to be good in the present. But I did think that they could be okay in the present because, they got Courtney Vandersloot. They got Ariel Atkins. They signed Kia Nurse, Rebecca Allen. These are all quality veteran players who should raise you to a baseline level of competence. And yet, competence, not a word I would use to describe the Chicago Sky. It's just, it hasn't worked. And I don't think Angel has gotten better. I don't think Camilla has gotten better. Courtney Vandersloot, obviously out for the season now with a torn ACL.
Yep.
Kia Nurse, Rebecca Allen just can't shoot. So it's been much worse than I thought things were going to go in Chicago, especially because I have the utmost respect for those 2 Las Vegas assistants, Tyler Marsh and Natalie Nicase. And we look at Natalie in Golden State, and she is absolutely crushing it with the Falcons. And then I look at Chicago, and I'm like, well, I put Tyler on the same level as Nat, and it's not going as well. So
it is not going as well.
To me, that's been the most surprising thing. It's just I thought they'd be okay, and okay is not even close.
Yeah, and I think when you watch the Chicago Sky, you kind of see what happens when you let too many pieces go at one time, because teams want to like rebuild or be scrappy and just kind of figure it out. But I kind of saw the Sky kind of hit that plateau of going down when they let Marina Mabrey go. That was kind of turning the
Mhm.
corner for them and kind of reevaluating where the roster went. So I didn't think they would be as bad as they are, but I also didn't think the Sparks would be in a position that they're in, especially on paper, resume credential wise. Like, we should be way up here. So
Mhm.
I can totally hear the Chicago Sky. Um, and let's talk quickly about Angel Reese and getting better. What were your thoughts around like Unrivaled and how that played a part in her off-season development?
Right. So I think, like a lot of people, I was really excited to see how the gains that players made in Unrivaled would translate into the WNBA season. We saw Chelsea Gray looked so much healthier, able to beat players off the dribble again. Angel Reese's finishing looked a lot better, and I thought she was playing really well in space. Admittedly, lots of space in
Yeah,
Unrivaled relative to 5-on-5.
yeah.
A lot of other players, I thought Rakia Jackson, her one-on-one package looked pretty good in Unrivaled. And frankly, like, I think I overestimated the similarities between the two games because I'm not seeing all of that I saw, on the Miami court as I am on WNBA courts. Like, the finishing gets a lot harder when you have multiple help defenders that can come
Yep.
over, beating players off the dribble. Again, help defenders coming over. So I I'm guilty of this. I got way too high on what was happening out of Unrivaled. I think I was just so excited to watch WNBA players on my TV, during the offseason in a way that really hasn't been possible before. And, it's just two different kinds of basketball. So uh,
Mhm.
I, I I will say the one team that really has looked as good at Unrivaled in the WNBA as it did Unrivaled. Everybody who played for the Lunar Owls: Visa Collier, Courtney
Yep.
Williams, Alicia Gray, Skylar Diggins,
Yeah.
whatever
Alicia Gray is like way better in
whatever
my
they
opinion.
were doing player development wise, DJ Sackman on that squad, it is translated. So, hopefully Cameron Brink gets that magic next year when she goes to Unrivaled. But other than that, I don't think it's the kind of thing where we can necessarily say, like, because this happened at Unrivaled, it can happen in the WNBA, and that's okay. They're two different
Yep.
leagues, two different products. I just kind of made that mistake coming in this year to think that there would be more similarities.
Yeah, and I kind of felt like I think I was intoxicated off basketball as well too. Like, you're on this high, this is new format, this is new league, and I just think some of them look sluggish, like they haven't rested. So, which I mean, too, isn't different because usually they might be going overseas or they might be
Exactly.
playing AU, so it's not like an excuse. But I was just excited to see them coming out the gate, how the Unrivaled launch went, and that
Mhm.
excitement and that energy and effort. But also too, when you're saying 3 versus 3 versus and 5-on-5, like, even the energy levels are different in those two.
Mhm.
So that's maybe why I'm feeling that they're a little fatigued. Okay, let's transition the conversation, since we're talking about Unrivaled, to Fee. Okay,
Mhm.
and the MVP race right now, who do you have? Asia out for right now, just in concussion protocol. Fee is having a phenomenal season. Satu is having a phenomenal season. Who else might be flying? Oh, Alicia Gray, of course. So who else might be flying under the radar in your MVP rankings?
I mean, I think Stewie has been awesome too. Like, she can't hit a 3-pointer, but she's hitting everything else. Like, the offense, like inside the arc, is absolutely incredible. The way she turned it on defensively against
Mhm.
Atlanta last night, in that last Commissioner's Cup game, I thought was super impressive. I mean, I was a little concerned that because the three ball has been working for her the last year and a half, that like her game had taken a little bit of a dip, but overall she looks incredible. New York is a hard team for like MVP cases because Sabreena
Mm.
also tremendous,
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah, 34, just
right?
easily.
How do you divvy up the credit between her and Stewie? And then, like, frankly, I
JJ.
think Jonquel Jones is like the
Yeah.
biggest, yeah. So I don't think anyone from the Liberty is like gonna win MVP, but got to mention them. Like you said, Satu, Alicia Gray, I think, is just the biggest surprise in this discussion. She's not somebody going into the season who I thought was like a first team all WNBA type player. And now, like, I'm filling out an all-star ballot. She's the first guard on my list,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And I think her 3-point shot, like last year, she was doing really well, but I think she's just become laser sharp and
Mhm.
like not afraid. And like the Atlanta thing is clicking, because when they traded, admittedly, when they traded for BG and like put that whole new roster together, I'm like, what are they kind of doing there? Like, I don't know how this is going to work. I'm not sure how Atlanta is going to land. And they've surprised me the most, because I thought when they moved on from Haley that they should have just gave her a little bit of a longer shot. But I think now that they've moved on from her, it's kind of worked in their favor to reconfigure that roster.
Right, and I just don't really know where Haley fits in. Like, if you think of her as a forward, like a small forward, like she's not as good as Alicia Gray. She's not as good as Ryan, Nas, Nia. If you think of her more as like a ball handling guard, like Pow Pow's been really good. Jordan Canada is awesome. Tori Walker Kimbrough has been good,
Yeah.
coming in free agency. So Atlanta to me is just crazy deep. Everybody who comes off the bench, you're like, damn, they're really good. Like,
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
does this keep happening? Like the levels days, they've gone into so many games where they basically bench BG for like 15
Mhm.
minutes at a time, and it's fine because
Yep.
Bree Jones plays the center and Naz Hillman
Absolutely.
comes in. And I think
Bree Jones, that was a good pickup from
yeah,
Connecticut.
their roster is just so complete top to bottom. And when you have somebody who's playing at a superstar level like Alicia Gray, I know they lost in New York. They, missed out on getting to go to the Commissioner's Cup final, but I think this is a really good team, just still figuring things out because it is first year under this head coach, bringing in new pieces like BG and Bree Jones. But I like him a lot. I like their coach a lot. And I think, again, you need that A1 superstar. And I wasn't sure who that was going to be. And it's great.
Yeah, yeah, and two, losing the Commissioner's Cup is not a heartbreaking thing. I have a conspiracy
It's some
that it's
money.
a curse. It's a curse, though. Everybody who wins the cup doesn't win the championship.
Except for 2022 with Las Vegas.
Yeah. But this is why we get the lady with the stats on here. 'Cause I'm like, listen, the Liberty lost
Mhm.
and then the Lynx lost, and I was like, we don't want nothing to do with that cup. Okay, I only need 2 occurrences in order to like link it up together and create a conspiracy. All right, since we were talking a little bit about the Valkyrie too, and like how they're like crushing it for their new franchise, how do you think the expansion has been so far, and like how do you think it's going to continue to play out moving forward?
I think first and foremost, the business of the Valkyries is incredible. I think they're the leading team in the WNBA in terms of revenue, which is
Hmm.
unbelievable considering like the Indiana Fever exists and the New York Liberty exists, and those teams make a lot of money. But the Bay Area has totally bought into this team. I think their branding, the way the arena looks, the
Yeah,
colors, like all the stupid Norse mythology names are thrown out, like
exactly.
Valhalla, I think is so funny, but like it's working, right? They're creating a real presence, a real identity, both on the court and off the court. And selfishly, I'm like super jealous because I don't root for Northern California teams, right? I'm an LA girl and I
Yeah,
don't like these things to go well, but I love Natalie. Like, I think this is good for the WNBA that there's a proof of concept that expansion can be so successful right away. I mean, I
yeah,
think they've already won more games through 11 games than the last expansion team in 2008, the Atlanta
yeah.
Dream, which is insane, right? To have this level. I mean, we're talking about a team that is below 500 and still dramatically more successful than any
Your
other
first
expansion team.
expansion team.
Yeah. So it's really good for the W, I think, to see this business success so far. And then you add on to that like, hey, they're playing good basketball, they're playing fun basketball. I think
Mhm.
this is a team players are going to want to go to during the offseason when, like, let's face it, everybody's a free agent. There's going to be options. And Natalie Nakase is showing like this is a coach you want to play for. This is a place you want to play, right? They've got the facility, they've got a packed house
Yeah.
basically every night. Like that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. And Bay culture is amazing. You got different, like, we haven't had women's basketball there. So it's just a complete new vibe. I think selfishly, I'm ready to see the Houston Comets come back. I think that market's already great. The Houston Rockets have a great team. If they can pair that up with the sister team and have that same kind of synergy with the Golden State Warriors and like
Mhm.
have them wearing each other's gear and stuff, like I just
Yeah.
think there's money to be made. Like hire me, WNBA. I'll go to Houston. I'll get the Comets going for you. I'll put the suit jacket on and we'll do the things. Um, same regards here, and I'm excited to see where the new expansion teams go. Moving into rookies, okay. Too early rookie of the year predictions. I'm giving it to SA Sarah Ashley Barker, of course,
Of course.
because I have no
I'm
choice.
wearing my Sparks gear today. You see the little,
Yeah,
yeah,
she's a dog. I just like her. She's likable. Her
Mhm.
attitude's great. She's always got energy. She's always in there, like getting up shots early. Like I just have no complaints. She's got a good vibe.
No, definitely a big Sarah Ashley Barker fan. If you had told me, this time last year that like she's gonna be a first round pick and playing 20 plus minutes in WNBA games, I would have been like, you're talking about somebody else, right? But no, I think the Sparks found a good one with her.
Mhm.
Admittedly, like for somebody who is rooting for the Sparks to win the lottery last year, it's not the outcome I was hoping
Yeah,
for. But hey, Sarah Ashley Barker, good player, clearly cares a whole lot about this team,
yeah.
about how hard she plays, and I love that she gets to learn from Kelsey Plum. It's just
Same.
a great situation. She's not my rookie of the year, I can tell you that.
Who's your rookie? Is it Kiki?
You know, uh, it's probably Sonia Citron.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
That those. almost it's hard. It would be a toss up to give it to because they're
And
playing so
if
well together.
Paige hadn't missed the concussion games, it probably would be Paige right now.
Okay. All right.
But the extra volume through 11 games, missing 4 is a big chunk.
Yeah.
So, that matters. I still think this is going to be Paige's award to lose. Like, she has looked very good in
Yeah.
the games that she's been available. Dallas, again, another one of those teams where not performing well relative to expectation,
Mhm.
but I don't think it's Paige's fault. Like, she looks so comfortable
Yeah.
getting to that midi. She's not getting beaten up by like bigger defenders, by more veteran. Like, you saw on opening night, and Nafisa Collier got in the post a couple times, drew fouls on her. She hasn't been rooked like that in a very long
Yeah.
time. So I've been impressed. I think she'll have the opportunity. She's starting. She plays a very big role on Dallas. They've even, moved their starting lineup around to like give her
Love
more
it.
touches. So yeah, this is still Becker's award to lose right now through 11 games. I'm gonna lean Sony, but
Lean, but
yeah,
we don't know how
lean.
it's gonna play out.
Yeah,
And I love doing way too early
love
predictions
way
just
too early.
because
Get to come
yeah,
back to it.
who knows? And
Mhm.
it's usually so far off at the end that it's comical. It's like,
Comical.
wow, I was really into this.
Yeah.
This player was doing that. All right. Let's talk about some veterans that have switched teams that has maybe not worked out so far, good so far. And the person that I have in mind is Jewel Lloyd with the Aces. What do you think is happening with the Aces, and how does Jewel play a part in that?
Yeah, so the tough thing with Jewel is that I think the Aces' problems are mostly a front court situation. They don't have a second front court player next to Asia Wilson. Asia Wilson, obviously, top one, top two, top three player, however you want to call it. She is, top tier, right? Like that's what the commercial tells us, right? And they just need one other good front court player to put next to her who can rebound the ball a little bit, who can score a little bit. And everybody they have is so flawed in some direction, right? Like
Mhm.
Elizabeth Kitley coming off of a torn ACL. Kia
Yeah.
Stokes, basically an offensive non-factor at this point. Tiffany Mitchell, is she big enough to be a power forward? I don't think so, right? Like they just signed Joyner Holmes on a replacement contract. Like I think they just need like a power forward, and all of a sudden this team makes a lot more sense. And then because teams can just put all this energy on Asia, it puts a lot of pressure on the perimeter players. And it looks like Becky Hammon has just given Kelsey Plum's playbook to Jewel Lloyd. And Jewel Lloyd is not Kelsey Plum,
Not
right?
Kelsey Plum,
Like
yeah.
she likes to get to her pull up a little bit, She like uses she's basically like a catch and shoot corner 3-point shooter right now. Like
Mhm.
that's not Jewel Lloyd. She needs the ball in her hands a little bit. She needs to play around, get a rhythm. And you've noticed these last few games with Asia out, Jewel has had really good performances against
Yeah.
Dallas, against Phoenix. And I hope that this is a rhythm that she's developing that she can carry, when Asia comes back, because so far it's like she just doesn't know where she fits in. And I don't really blame Jewel for that because I think it's more of a coaching schematic situation. And it's something that they have to figure out, right? Like she's just not Kelsey Plum. It
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
can't work like that.
But also I think Jewel found her rhythm, like you said.
Mhm.
Wanting to go to the bench and come off the bench puts her in the 6 woman of the year conversation because she can just have that kind of spark and kind of offensively go off for the Aces. I think would be like a surprise coming in off the bench. And it's good to hear that she's being a good teammate in that way because some of the
Mhm.
like drama when the Seattle dust kicked up made it seem like she was like being a brat about Nike or whatever she didn't hit. But this shows that she's just a great teammate and she wants to see it work with the Aces. I think Asia's still gonna help them make it to wherever they need to go. Come playoff time, it's like, God, this team sucked, but now they're the best. So you can't ever count them out.
I mean, I
I
think
always get
Liberty
so
are
nervous.
still a really bad matchup for them. Jonquel Jones defend Asia better than anybody in the league. And
And the
they
Sparks keep beating the Aces. That's the only bragging rights I will have so far. Is like last year and this year. It's a great matchup for us.
yeah.
All right, injury wise, um, who? First of all, like, do you believe that the scheduling is playing a part in this? Because Natasha Cloud got on social media and was chirping about the fact that there were more games in a smaller time and people are tearing their ACLs. How valid do you think that is? And also, like, why do you, if not, then why do you think these injuries are happening?
I love Natasha Cloud. I think her math is wrong. Last year, the schedule was 4 games less, but they had a month less during the middle of the regular season because of the Olympics. So they have more time for these 44 games. And
Yeah,
I'm not sure that the cadence is really what's affecting the injuries. Like maybe we talked about Unrivaled. I think the wear and tear that put on some of those players' bodies is legitimate,
yeah,
And Alyssa Thomas, like we're talking about a player who never misses games for injury, right? Like she famously refuses to have surgery. Sorry, she famously refuses to have surgery on her shoulders because she doesn't want to go through the rehab time, right?
yeah,
And like she's missed time. Kalia Copper comes out of Unrivaled. She misses time. Katie Lou Samuelson out of Unrivaled tore her ACL, right?
Yeah.
Ricky Jackson had a concussion. That's a different situation. But like, I think the type of offseason play they had is a little bit different than what they had, in Europe, where you play 1 to 2 games a week. It's a very different schedule. I think that has maybe been a factor in terms of how players' bodies were coming into the season. The injuries that are really weird to me are just like the head injuries. Why is everyone getting hit in the face so much? I mean,
Concussions. Yeah.
so many concussions, right? We've got Paige, Shakira Austin, Asia Wilson, Jewel Lloyd had a mask on. Rikia Jackson had a concussion. Like, I think every team has dealt with a concussion at some point this season, which is just like, are the referees not controlling it? That to me is the weirdest injury situation. Is like, why is everyone out with head injuries? And those are the scariest ones, right? Because it affects every part of your life. You don't really know how to evaluate them to come back. So I don't think that the schedule is to blame for the injuries because, again, like it's more time for, again, more games, but like a month more for 4 more games, which I think is a good amount of math.
You have great perspective.
Yeah.
That should be your thing, perspective. Because you added the Olympics and I was like, you were right. I forgot about the Olympics from last year because they all had to go over there. And right now the Euro Cup is happening. So we're losing players like Julie Alamon and stuff like that.
Big
So
loss.
It'd
be nice to have a point guard against the Seattle Storm. Let me tell you.
We had nobody. I was Sabreena. I wore my Anthony Edwards ones just in case the Sparks were going to call me
those
up.
are the same shoes Erica Wheeler was wearing last night.
I mean, hopefully
it worked for her.
Like her. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about coaches really quick, and then we'll talk about some guards and wrap the conversation up. But who's your standout coach that's new? Valkyrie, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few of them. I think Natalie Nicasio has been awesome. An expansion team having an identity right away is very impressive. When you have players who've never played together.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of players who have never played together, the Phoenix Mercury, right? 6 rookies, Kalia Copper, Saja Sabli, Alyssa Thomas, all on different teams last season.
Yep.
Sammy Wickham coming in from a different team last season. Nate Tibbetts, the job that he's done to put that all together, to play really fun style of basketball, get everybody performing at a high level. Again, 6 rookies is tremendous. So Nate, Natalie, and then we brought this up earlier, but Carl Semesco in Atlanta. I love the system. Mm-hmm. I think it's brought out the best in Alicia Gray and, the Dreamer winning a lot of games. They are just so much more watchable than they were last year. Like it's a lot of the same talent, and God bless, I could not watch that team last year. It was so hard. So those are my top 3, I would say. And not to discount the job that like Cheryl Reeve and Sandy Browndello were doing, because being excellent is also a very impressive thing.
Yes.
Expecting excellence and then delivering, I admire that.
Are 2 separate things. Like I think everybody has that. And what's so crazy is I love the WNBA because you're in this microscope in this short amount of time, expected to put things together quickly, execute on these things, and like maintain this level of thing. Mm-hmm. And things can go crazy. Like looking at the Phoenix Mercury roster, I was on a podcast talking about like, who are these people? It's never going to work. And like to see the finished product is just the beauty.
I was so wrong about Phoenix in like the best way possible, but I love their team.
Yeah. That's crazy. All right. So final question. As we go into the next part of the season, who are the 3 teams to look out for that you think are going to make the most improved? So who are going to be our most improved players going into the All-Star break?
So let's start with the Indiana Fever. Caitlin coming back is, the majority thing here that makes them on a track for improvement. But I also think they're starting to figure out just how things work. They, quietly had a lot of turnover during the offseason. They only returned 5 players from last year. Mm-hmm. And they're the ones we all know, right? Olivia Boston, Lexi Hall, Caitlin Clark. But there have been a lot of changes, and I think they're starting to settle into some new roles and the right style of play. Like it's very different from what Steph White did in Connecticut, the 2 bigs. Slowing the pace down versus I think you just got to run as much as possible with Indiana. So that's a team I've got an eye on. Just, I think things are starting to come together there. Let's see, I'm going down the list here. Minnesota, New York can't really improve all that much. Golden State lost a lot of Euros. Washington, I think, is going to take a slight step back just because they sort of came out real hot and everyone's like, wait, this is more than we were expecting. And they've sort of adjusted. I do think Dallas could get a little bit better, as Paige gets more comfortable. Another first-year head coach in Crisco Clanis. So Paige and Enrique figuring out their chemistry together, something to keep an eye on. And then, why not? Let's look at the Sparks. They got to get healthy, right?
I was hoping. I was just waiting.
Like,
I was like, is she
Ray Burrell's going to come back. Rikia Jackson is feeling herself again. Cam Brink's going to come back. The offense, like it doesn't look like Lynn Roberts Utah yet. I'm hoping, things starting to click on that end of the floor. So yeah,
All
nowhere to
right.
go but up for the Sparks.
I agree, and I think defense is the number one thing that we're gonna focus on, and it seems like coaches on that same page. But I think Lynn Roberts was just an awesome hire
Mhm.
to just facilitate whatever's happening right now. Like, to be honest, her energy, the way that she's approaching, just moving forward with the team, and like speaking to them, like I just watch her interact with them. It's just I feel like the Sparks are. I
I like
always
the
feel this way,
energy.
though.
I like the energy from Lynn a lot,
Yeah,
and it's been a tough start to the season, but I think that the pieces are there for good things to happen, especially when just the roster's whole, right?
yeah.
We say this all the time with the Sparks, like
Please.
just give us like 11 players to suit up,
Yeah, yeah. Without all these
Yeah.
extended hardship contracts.
Although hardships, Leah Two King, super fun to have around. I'm
Yeah,
glad that she's been getting this opportunity. Yeah.
for sure, and she's been getting us some great rebounds and some hustle
Yeah.
plays, and, like, we haven't it's not a total loss,
Not
unintended
a total
consequences.
loss. Yeah.
Yeah. Sabreena, thank you so much for coming on here and running your mouth with me about sports. Where can everybody find you on the internet?
Yeah, so I am on Blue Sky at Sabreena JM, and then everything else I do, like I mentioned, is at The Athletic, whether it's the website or our podcast, No Off Season, which again, on video on YouTube, super
Come
fun to
on.
watch.
Definitely, I'll link it in the
I make
description.
good faces. I'm a very
Animated,
expressive
passionate
talker.
talker.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. So thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure you like, share, subscribe if this is your first time. And I'll always be here posted up running my mouth about sports. Y'all, I'm DJ Treacy Trees, and I will see you next episode. All right.